In this video, I would like to show you a Forex indicator called Average Directional Movement Index. Average Directional Movement Index is an indicator that is used to measure the strength of the trend. That means it won't tell you whether the trend is bullish or bearish, but it will tell you how strong the trend is. The indicator is measured on a scale from 0 to 100 and it consists of three lines. The actual ADX line, which is represented as a blue line, a positive directional indicator and a negative directional indicator. Positive directional indicator is represented as green line and negative directional indicator is represented as red line. If you see in this picture, the actual average directional movement indicator line is this blue line, and the positive directional line is the green line and the negative directional line is the red line. So normally this indicator is measured from a value of 0 to 100. The positive directional indicator is also called as plus DI and the negative directional indicator is also called as minus DI. That means this green line is also called as plus DI and this red line is also called as minus DI. So how to get the signals from this indicator? Whenever the positive directional index and the negative directional index crosses each other, then that's a signal. That means whenever this green line and the red line crosses each other, they are the signals of buy or sell signals. When the positive directional index, that is the green line, crosses the negative directional index, that is the red line, from below in the upward direction, then that is the buy signal. If you see this one, see this is the green line which is the positive directional index and the red line which is the negative directional index, and the green line crossed the red line from below in the upward direction. So this is a buy signal. Similarly, when the negative directional index, which is the red line, crosses the positive directional index, which is the green line, from below in the upward direction, then that's a sell signal. See, at this point, if you see this one, the negative directional index, which is the red line, crossed the positive directional index, which is the green line, from below in the upward direction. So this is a sell signal. Sorry. The average directional movement index doesn't say whether the trend is bullish or bearish. It says only whether the strength. It says only the strength of the trend. The trend can be either bullish or bearish. Even though the indicator is measured on a scale from 0 to 100, above 60 is very rare. If you see this one, the indicator is normally measured from a scale of 0 to 100, but reading the indicator above 60 is very rare. That means the actual average directional movement index line, which is blue line, crossing the 60 is very rare. The blue signal reading above 40 can be treated as strong trend, and the reading below 20 can be treated as weak trend or a ranging period. If you see in this picture, I have drawn two levels, one is 20 and 40, and if the blue line which is the actual average directional movement index is, if it is above 40, then that can be treated as a strong trend. If you see in this picture, see this is a strong trend and the blue line is above the 40 level. And similarly, if the blue line is below 20, if you see this picture here, at this point the blue line is below 20 and this can be treated as a range period or weak trend. If you see, if you observe this picture, you can see that here a range is there, the range market is there, and if the blue signal line is crossing the 40 line from above in the downward direction, we can say that the trend is weakening or going in a ranging market. That means when the Okay, when the blue line, which is the actual average directional movement index line, is crossing 40 from above in the downward direction, that means we can say that the trend is weakening, or it might go in a range market. Here if you see that the trend can be either bullish or bearish, whatever the trend is, like once the actual average directional movement index line is crossing the 40 line from above in the downward direction, that means the trend is weakening. So how to find out bad signals from this indicator? So whenever the lines cross each other, the green line and red line crosses each other, that means it doesn't mean that they are always buy or sell signals. There might be some bad signals also. See, at this point, if you check this one, the actual red line has crossed the green line, the indicating a sell signal. But if you see at this point, the downward trend has ended here. So this is not an actual sell signal. So to find out like what are the real good signals and what are the real bad signals, you can use some other indicators to check out these ones. That means instead of using this ADX indicator alone, you can go with you can use some additional indicators also, whether it is actually telling you whether it is actually giving you a sell or buy signal. Not only with the other indicators, but using the ADX indicator alone, you can sometimes check whether it is a good or bad signal. At this point, if you see, the red line has crossed the green line in the upward direction, indicating a sell signal. The, so that means here you get a sell signal. But actually, if you observe, the trend is not, it didn't go in a downward direction. That means it's not a good sell signal. So, in order to find out whether it is a good or bad signal, you can use the actual ADX line, which is the blue line. If you observe this one, the actual ADX line, which is the blue line, at this point has crossed the 40 level from in the downward direction. That means here you can say that the trend is weakening. So it doesn't need to be whether it is a sell signal or buy signal. That means whether the trend is bullish or bearish, the trend is weakening here. So even though it is giving a signal here that even though it is giving a sell signal here, since the actual line has crossed the 40 level in the downward direction, that means it is not a good sell signal, it is a bad signal. So using this indicator alone, sometimes you can find out whether the signal is a good signal or a bad signal. How to find out good signal? The positive directional index, which is the green line, crosses the negative directional index, which is the red line, from below in the downward in the upward direction. This is the actual sell signal. But how actual buy signal? This is the actual buy signal. But how to find out whether this buy signal is good or bad? The actual indicator, which is the blue line, is below the 20 line, and at some point it crosses the 20 line from below in the upward direction. That means it's a good buy signal. If you observe this one, here you can see that the green line, which is the positive directional index line, has crossed the red line in the upward direction. So this is a sell signal. But to confirm it whether it is a good this is a buy signal, but to confirm it whether this is a good buy signal or a bad buy signal, we can use again the actual ADX line. Here if you see, the actual ADX line, which is the blue line, is below 20 level, but at some point it crossed the 20 level in the upward direction. So at one point the green line has crossed the red line in the upward direction, and after that at some point the blue line has crossed the 20 level in the upward direction. That means this is a good buy signal. So this is how we can find out whether a buy or sell signal is a good one or a bad one. This is all about average directional movement index. and this is a very good indicator for any forex trader. Thank you.